world returned slowly. First, there was the ringing, a long, painful whistle inside his ears. Then came the smell of smoke, dust, and burning metal. Private Daniel Carter opened his eyes. The sky above him was gray with drifting ash. Broken tree branches hung over his face, and the ground beneath him was cold and damp. For a moment, he didn't remember where he was. Then it hit him. The bombing. Bravo Squad, move. His commander had shouted earlier that morning. They had been advancing through a narrow valley when the first explosion struck. The ground had erupted in fire and dirt. Daniel remembered being thrown backward by the blast, and then nothing. He groaned and pushed himself up. Pain shot through his shoulder, but nothing felt broken. His helmet was gone. His rifle lay half buried in the mud beside him, and his radio was shattered. Daniel grabbed the rifle and looked around. His heart dropped. The valley was gone. Instead, unfamiliar hills stretched around him. A distant road cut through the landscape, and on it moved a convoy of enemy trucks. He froze. Wait, he whispered to himself. He slowly turned in a full circle. No friendly flags, no familiar equipment, no voices from his squad. Just silence. A terrible realization settled in his chest. He was behind enemy lines. Daniel's breathing grew heavier. If the enemy found him here, alone and injured, he wouldn't stand a chance. He forced himself to stay calm. Think, he muttered. First priority, stay hidden. He crawled into a cluster of thick bushes and scanned the area carefully. Smoke still rose from the distant valley where the bombing had happened. Maybe. Just maybe. Some of his squad had survived, but reaching them meant crossing enemy territory. Daniel checked his gear. 1 rifle, 3 magazines, a small knife, half a canteen of water. That was it. Not much, but it was enough to survive. Suddenly, voices echoed from the road. Enemy soldiers. Daniel slowly lowered himself deeper into the bushes as 2 soldiers walked past, their rifles slung casually over their shoulders. They were laughing about something. To them, the war was far away. To Daniel, it was breathing down his neck. The soldiers eventually disappeared down the road. Daniel exhaled quietly. Night would come in a few hours. That would be his chance. Until then, he had to stay invisible. Time moved painfully, slowly. Every sound made him tense. Rustling leaves, distant engines, ebbing to wind. But finally, the sun began to sink. Shadows stretched across the hills. Darkness was coming. Daniel tightened the straps on his gear and stood carefully. All right, he whispered. Step by step, he moved through the forest, keeping low and avoiding open ground. Every few minutes, he stopped to listen. The distant rumble of artillery guided him. Friendly forces were still fighting somewhere beyond those hills. If he could reach them, he might make it out alive. Hours passed, his legs ached, and his throat was dry. But then he saw something that made his heart race. A faint green flare lit the sky in the distance. Friendly signal. Daniel almost laughed in relief. He pushed forward faster now, with new determination. Then suddenly stop. A voice shouted in the darkness. Flashlights snapped on. Daniel dropped his rifle immediately and raised his hands. Friendly, he shouted quickly. Friendly. Figures emerged from the shadows, soldiers wearing the same uniform as him. One of them stepped closer, eyes wide. Private Carter. Daniel blinked. Sergeant Luis. The sergeant stared at him in disbelief. We thought you were dead. Daniel let out a tired laugh. Yeah, he said, wiping dirt from his face. I thought so too. The soldiers helped him to his feet and led him toward their camp. Behind them, the enemy territory faded into darkness, and for the first time since the bombing, Daniel finally felt safe.